Hi, I'm Sophia Louisa Lee. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of So Zoom In. Please hit like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. I love bringing you people who are in the creative flow. Today, I'm bringing you an exceptional woman. She is quite amazing and so very inspirational. Cindy Cowan, thank you so very much for joining me for So Zoom In. I am absolutely so proud of everything you've done. You're such a trailblazer, and I'm so grateful to have you on my show. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So I have to ask you, how did you find yourself in this crazy business of the film world? Because it's like not exactly the friendliest to women. And you have just trailblazed a path for so many other women in the business.
Thank you. It was not my intention to be in this business. I actually graduated with a degree in psychology, went back to Florida, which is where I'm from, was working with my father for a bit in his hotel. My family's in the hotel business, and I was practicing and doing psychology on the side in a very difficult field. I was mostly working with abused and foster children. And when I graduated from Tulane in New Orleans, the good thing about going to that school is you get a lot of hands-on experience. The bad thing about going to that school is you get a lot of hands-on experience. And a lot of the kids that I was working with had been terribly abused by their family. And there was a ruling back then, I don't know if it still exists, that you could take a child away from a parent for about 6 months. But at the end of that 6 months, if that parent wanted the child back, they would be able to take them back. And it was too difficult for me. So I took that infamous year off, worked with my dad for a bit, and then kind of was a runaway bride, to be honest with you, and came out to California as a songwriter. Also, I dabbled in songwriting on the side. And my first song was taken by a now very famous, and at the time not very famous, producer named Simon Cowell, who took my first song, which did very well all throughout Europe. And so I came out to California and said, I have a little bit of money, let's go try this. And from that, I just kind of knew I didn't want to go back. I knew that life that I had left was kind of over. I wanted to stay in California. So I got a job with a film company and literally climbed my way to the top. So everybody can do it. If I can do it, everybody can do it.
Well, it's great that you had the training in psychology. I mean,
that definitely helped.
To read people. Well, we are definitely, I've noticed one thing about artists, we are all such sensitive souls. And I think that's part of being the creative, and so do you find it challenging at times to work with certain people who are incredible narcissists or super emotional, or they're just all in their head about, the idea, trying to bring it to life? What kind of challenge has that been for you to deal with all that, navigate those waters?
It is a good thing that I have the background I have. I can't imagine being in this town and not having the background that I have. Those challenges come with the business. I mean, there's not a set that I've been on that you're not going to deal with any number of multiple kinds of orders or disorders, as people might say. But, it's all part of it. And I love people, in all different kinds of forms, strange and otherwise. And so to me, it's all just part of the business and part of the challenge, and just something that you deal with, but it definitely comes with this business.
So if you had a chance to do it all over again, knowing what you know now, would you do it again?
I definitely would. This business has been rewarding. It's a difficult business. And, I retired at one point for years and got out of it because, I always said if I found myself changing, it was time to go. And I did find myself changing, and it was time to go. I think for those, especially girls that are coming up now, it's different. When I came up, there wasn't many of us. There was such a small handful of female producers, and there was no female distributors. And so I was absolutely in the boys' club, and it got difficult. I mean, I found myself cussing more than I had ever cussed in my life because I had to. At some points I felt like that was the only way I could get the room to kind of listen. But there's more opportunities now. I mean, now the good thing is with all these different movements that are happening is for the first time ever, it's really good to be a female and the doors are wide open. Where when I was coming up, I had to knock pretty hard to get that door to open. And then I had to make sure that I was smart enough to stay in the room once it did. So, but I love challenges. So to me, it was all part of it. And to think that I might have paved the way for some others is amazing to me, because I didn't look at it that way at the time. You know, yeah.
And you've been awarded with an Emmy. You've been nominated for an Oscar. How does it feel to be recognized by your peers with something like that?
I got to say, it's amazing. The Emmy was bittersweet because it was a documentary that I had worked on for years. And I thought it was amazing that we were even going up for nomination. Never in our wildest dreams did we think we might win. Bittersweet because we won during COVID. So my one time winning an Emmy, we resumed. There was a big Emmy thing with a guy in a tuxedo in the middle of New York presenting the Emmys. And so we didn't get to go the typical way, but it was an amazing way because I hadn't seen another living soul for about 6 months. I was locked in my house in California until Emmy came. I mean, she literally was, I think, the first person with a name to be in my house. And it was also, I think she came 2 days before my birthday. So all the way around, it was absolutely amazing. With the Oscar, with Traffic, it was an interesting time because nobody wanted that movie. And I decided I was going to sell my company and I needed to try to raise the profile of the company so I could sell it for more in the hour market. And Traffic was a film that I had found to finance, but that movie had been around for 15 years. Nobody believed in it. Nobody thought it would work. And until we came along, or I came along. And I remember there was a lot of naysayers saying, this film's not going to work. It's not good. It was drug trafficking at a time when that wasn't cool and people weren't really talking about it. We had to totally revamp the cast. There was much different actors attached at the time and at a much bigger budget. And I love that film did as well as it did, because that also paved the way for a lot. People hadn't seen the kind of movie that Traffic was at the time that it came out. And for all those people that passed on it for 15 years, it's another one of those Hollywood stories where you just never know. I think Forrest Gump took 11 years to get made. This is a business that patience is virtue, and you just have to be able to stick it out.
What was it about that movie that you connected with, that resonated with you to even want to work with it?
Well, Steven Soderbergh is remarkable. And I just saw what it could be. I've always done movies a little bit ahead of their times. And I don't know what it is. I say no to an awful lot of stuff, but when I say yes, I will do anything to try to let it get made. And, the drug cartels and drug trafficking at the time needed to be brought to front. Same thing with the documentary, Miracle on 42nd Street. That was about this building in New York City during the AIDS crisis where, New York City decided to build this remarkable building, right down there in basically Harlem, thinking they were going to gentrify the area and bring all these amazing people to live in that area. Problem was, once they built the building, people were like, that's great, we're not moving there. Like, why would they move down there? It was like Hell's Kitchen. We're not going down there. And so in order to fill that building, they started letting people of the arts audition for apartments. And in return, they would take 10% of what your earnings were when you were able to earn. And it became a haven to some of the biggest artists around. I mean, Larry David created Seinfeld there. Alicia Keys lived there. Mickey Rourke lived there. Christian Slater lived there. Terrence Howard lived there. I mean, the building became very well known. And to this day, most of the apartments, even if you pass away, you can't just leave it on to somebody. They do everything to nurture the area to build it up. And everybody who works there is homeless or was homeless at one point. So it was really important to me to try to get that out there because I had never seen anything like it.
Wow.
And, it's my hope that a building like that would be all over the United States. So I really never know why I gravitate to certain things. But to me, unless it's a paycheck or, oh, I need to go make a paycheck, let me just go do a really big popcorn movie, then it's got to be something that is near and dear to my heart and is for a cause.
Well, you have a very big heart because you give so much of yourself to so many organizations. You sit on the board of a few nonprofits, you really participate, you really give back. When did you start doing that, or what inspired you to really give so much of yourself in that way? Because a lot of people don't. More people should. But
my dad used to say, "What made you like this?" My whole life has been that way. When I was a little kid, my dad was always horrified because it started with animals. I was saving every animal on death row at a pound. I think at one point we had 11 dogs and cats, and they were always mangled, like a 3-legged dog and a one-eyed cat, and whatever nobody would adopt, that's what I brought home. I think my dad put a stop to it when I put a baby calf in my car one day and showed up with it at my house. And my dad was like, "That's it, you're not doing this anymore." So I still love animals, but I started transferring it to people. And honestly, it's my happiness. Like every Thanksgiving, anybody who knows that comes to my house Thanksgiving, the very next day, I will plate at least 50, if not 100 plates of food. And I personally drive around and give, them out. So it's not for accolades, and it's not for awards, and it's not for anybody to write about. Most people don't even know about that. It's because I want to see if the homeless crisis is so prominent in California, then let me see it and let me see how I can help it. And it's amazing the people that I've met. I mean, a lot of people say, "Please don't do that this year. It's getting dangerous." But I don't get out of my car and I talk to everybody. And, I ask, "Are you hungry?" And if, some people aren't, they want money or they want drugs, and then that's not the people I'm going to speak to. But a lot of people, you'd be shocked at how they ended up in the situation they're in. We are all one step away from it. We don't know what's happening. And so to be able to connect with people on a human level and do anything to help them is what life's all about. And it's always made me, it's just what life's about. So what I don't understand are people that say, "Well, it's easy for you. We can't do that." And I said, "Yes, you can. Go hug somebody, go smile at somebody, say hello to somebody that might not have anybody to talk to. There's always something you can do." I remember I was throwing away a mattress, and my boyfriend at the time said, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're going to downtown LA." And I took the mattress and sheets, and, one man's trash is another person's treasure. Why can't somebody sleep on that mattress and make a bed? And now I've given you bedding too. So there's always something that somebody can do. Anything. You don't have to be sitting on top of a huge, well-known charity in a spotlight or getting, an actor to come sit at a table. That's not what it's about. Well, so I don't know what made me like this, but to my dying breath, that's what I care about. And my motto has always been to leave a footstep for somebody else to follow. And if I can change one or two people's thoughts on doing something I do, then how amazing is that? Just, it's amazing.
Well, actions speak louder than words, and you are involved with so many different kinds of nonprofits also. Yes. I find that very inspiring. I have to ask, do you have a favorite? Is there one that you kind of like more than another, or?
No, they all change. And what I did in the past couple of years post-COVID will change again. So, pre-COVID, Little Kids Rock, I was the West Coast chair for 8 years, and I loved it. It was really near and dear to me. I love music. I started music, and I love children. And so we would go into very, I don't know what the word would be, very poor areas that couldn't afford to have after school specials. And we would provide free of charge after school specials by teaching the teachers how to read and teach music. And then we would come in with guitars and keyboards and drums and teach these children from as early as the age of 7 until they graduated music. And, people were like, "Well, why is that so important?" Well, we were keeping kids that might have had no other choice but to be in a gang off the streets, and kids that might have turned to drugs. They couldn't do them because we had them after school. And, it teaches right and left brain thinking. And we were the #1 nonprofit in America. So I was super proud of that. And we had over 500,000 kids in our program at one point in 48 states. And I was there at the beginning of it. So it was amazing to me. But then there was like this woman, Laura Satchel, that I met one night that became a CNN hero. And she's like the real hero. She was an OB/GYN doctor who realized by hurting her back that she couldn't deliver babies anymore. So she took a year off to do Doctors Without Borders, went to a third world country and realized that darkness meant death there. And so the reason being is there was no electricity. So if your appendix breaks in the middle of the night or you have to deliver a baby, nobody can see. And there's no chance of using machines, defibrillators or anything. So she created the solar suitcase. And so I was very proud to try to assist them. For $5,000, you would have a suitcase that would light up operating rooms in third world countries for years. And people don't know about those things. So each charity was different. Lincoln Park, those guys were friends of mine, and they would go in and help, in right after earthquakes or hurricanes and whatever. We wouldn't wait for government sanctions to drop off blankets or whatever was needed at the time. But like I said, post-COVID, everything is homeless and food insecurity. And so I think the charities of the past will shift right now and go to things that I'm seeing day to day and become more of that.
Wow. My heart is just like, wow. I hope so many people feel inspired by this and want to contribute in some way.
Yeah.
Music transforms so many people. Do you still write songs? Is that something you still do? Or?
So I hadn't written in a while, but during COVID, I was bored, and I had two of my friends were in America. One was trapped in America. He's Greek and couldn't get back home. And he's probably the biggest singer in Greece. And he was at my house one day playing on my piano. And I thought, wow, you get like 20,000 people in an arena in Greece, and here you are playing on my piano. Let's change that. And so I decided to come out of retirement as a songwriter and do a musical short that we're in the process of finishing now. And it was two actors. One of my girlfriends is Brazilian. One of my guy friend is Greek. Very limited crew. An amazing music video director who had never done a feature, a short or a regular. And so I decided to write a couple songs. Me and my girlfriend came up with the story, and that will come out probably in the next 6 months, whenever I can focus on finally getting it out there to,
Well, how exciting. Did I lose you? Are you still there?
you not see me?
There you are. Okay. But how exciting, how wonderful to have that shift of energy.
Yeah, it was great. It was really fun.
Would you be inspired to do something like that again? Or was this just?
Yeah, I mean, we're about to have the busiest year. So, but yes, I really loved writing again, and it was so much fun. And I forgot how great that is. A lot of my friends are incredible musicians though. And so I don't feel worthy, but it was fun, and I loved it. And we're doing some music-based projects now. So hopefully my career goes down the music path anyways, even though I might be on the other side of the camera doing it instead of actually writing.
Well, it sounds like it's already a part of you. It's like you can't help that, it's part of you.
Yeah.
So with this ongoing pandemic, do you see film shifting even more than what it has been?
I do, and I'm hoping it shifts again, because it's kind of depressing what I think is happening right now in the film business, and I hope it shifts, meaning that people aren't really going to the theaters anymore unless it's a big Marvel movie or unless it's a horror movie. And there's really good movies out there that aren't being made. And it's hard right now. Streaming has been great because I don't think TV has ever been better. I never thought we'd have TV like we do now. But on the flip side, I think the film business is suffering because of it. it's harder to get actors to want to be in a feature film when they can do a 10-part limited series for one of the streamers. And as such, with people not going to the theaters, you have to follow the model of what is getting people into theaters. And right now, that's big Marvel type of films or horror movies. And so I hope that changes a little bit. I really do. I hope that we get back to the place where there was just really good feel-good movies out there.
We need that. We definitely
need that.
So with ChatGPT that was released last November, the whole AI thing changed. People are saying AI can write scripts, AI can create avatars. Do you feel that the film industry is going to embrace that? Or do you think?
We are going to embrace it, and it scares me. We're doing an AI-based film now, and it's the first time ever that I'm trying it too. But with a writer, a very well-known writer that I work with, but for the first time, we're going to feed the AI a bit and see what happens and does it make it better. My problem is, does this eventually take jobs away? I mean, there's about to be a big writer's strike in my industry. They're going to have to be careful with that kind of stuff. Like, does AI come and replace them at some point? I hope not. I hope we're to the point where AI can enhance something, not replace something. But I don't know. I mean, I'm like everybody else. I'm old school. I embrace technology, but I don't like it. I don't want people losing their jobs for a machine. So I don't know.
Sounds so Terminator-like, doesn't it?
I mean, all these movies that we saw in the past are now coming to fruition.
Exactly. It is a little scary, especially when you can hear they can write full-on scripts and do full-on movie. I'm like, okay.
I'm not sure they can write full-on scripts yet. I think that they will be able to, but I'm not sure they can do it yet. I think that, I don't know, we watched it the first time, literally just last week, writing some scenes, but I'm not sure at this moment, it'll be able to capture character development as well as a real person would.
Those nuances and stuff.
But look, does that happen in a year from now?
Right. So as a film producer, how many projects do you usually have going on at one time?
You never know. I mean, it's interesting because people will say, like, how many you want to do this year? What's in your slate? I never know. It really depends on what I like. This year, we just set up a 10-part miniseries. I can't talk too much about it because the studio has to release it, but it will be the biggest project I've ever done. I wish I could say, because the writer is fabulous, the proposed director is fabulous, and the story is really amazing. And I pinch myself that I'm a part of it. It's something I've worked on for a couple of years. But we also have 3 big action movies. One of them is starting to cast now. And then it was an amazing experience to work with Screen Gems. I have a movie coming out with them at the end of the summer. We'll do something else together. And then I've got a story loosely based on the group In Sync. And what happened to 2 of their fans set up a TriStar. And so, that's 6 different projects that are in various stages for this year. And it gets hard. I can't work on too many because then I find that, it's like somebody that says, what do you do for a living? And they name 10 things. I'm like, yeah, but what do you do for a living? Like, what are you good at? So I won't take on too many more. We might take on like 1 or 2 more. The thing about the film business is you never know when a project goes, though. So, you can't just rest your laurels on one. You have to have at least 3 or 4. You might think, oh my God, what am I going to do? They're all going to go at the same time. They don't. There's going to be an actor that's going to push, or a director that can't do it at that time, or the financing will fall through. And so it tends to work itself out.
Whole balancing act, right? Now, when you take on a project, do you literally see it from beginning to end, or do you delegate a lot of stuff?
No, we take it on from beginning to end. Some I create and then bring on writers. Others, in fact, most of them now we're pretty much creating internally. But other ones, writers or actors will bring to me, and then we'll work on them from there. And then, we're involved with every phase of it. So we think the screenplay is right, setting it up at the studios or the financing companies that do it. And then I sit on the set until the last day, and then we help deliver it.
It's so
It's a long process, you know.
What's your favorite part of the whole process?
I don't know. Each film is different. You know, some films I love the development of because it's just fun. The one that's a mini series, I love every minute of everything about this. Other ones that, you know, I like to sit on the sets, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're like, when is this over? Oh my God, this set is the worst. So it really depends on what country you're filming it on, or the actors, or how smoothly it's coming. I think my least favorite is post. I've just never enjoyed the process. My hat's off to every editor out there, because these guys and gals are the unsung heroes of our business. They can make or break a film, and most people don't even know their names, and I think they're incredible. But watching something 20, 30, 40, sometimes 60 times is like, God bless them.
Wow.
You know?
And then to see the final product up on the big screen. That's so exciting. What can we look forward to from you next?
We've got a movie called Haunting in Connecticut, which will be coming out through Screen Gem this summer. I think they're looking for their release date now. We will have this mini series coming to you, but I can't tell you what it is. And we have a very big action movie going into production. So that will come out too.
Very well. Okay, we'll just have people follow you on social media. Is that okay?
It's Cindy Cowan 1000 on Twitter and Instagram, and it's just my name on Facebook.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so very much, Cindy. I greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You keep going, woman. It's like, yes, you have my support. Whatever you do, I'm just so
Thank you very much.
inspired.
Thank you.